My name is Margaret. I'm 72 years old. My daughter called me last week. She was asking about a recipe, the one I used to make on Sundays when she was small. She couldn't remember if it had cinnamon or nutmeg.
I told her. We talked for maybe 3 minutes. Then she had to go. Her youngest had soccer. After we hung up, I sat there holding the phone, and I realized she doesn't know I almost didn't become her mother. She doesn't know I spent 2 years after college sleeping in a van. She doesn't know I sang in bars for tip money, that I lived on black coffee and whatever the cook would slide across the counter when the owner wasn't looking. She doesn't know I had a different name back then. Not Margaret, Meg. Meg didn't wear cardigans. Meg didn't make casseroles or keep a calendar on the refrigerator. Meg wrote songs no one ever heard. I don't blame my children for not knowing. I never told them. When you become a mother, people stop asking who you were before. They ask if the baby's sleeping, if you're getting enough rest, if you need anything from the store. And after a while, you stop thinking of yourself as anyone other than their mother. It happens so quietly. I had 3 children, 2 girls, 1 boy. I loved them the way you're supposed to, the way that makes you forget you ever had a body that wasn't tired, a mind that wasn't split into lists and schedules and dental appointments. I was good at it, being their mother. I made Halloween costumes from scratch. I knew which teacher didn't like late drop-offs. I remembered everyone's shoe size. But somewhere in all of that, I put Meg away. I didn't mean to, I just stopped bringing her up. When my son was maybe 7, he asked me what I wanted to be when I was little. I told him I wanted to be a teacher. I don't know why I said that, it just came out. He nodded and went back to his cereal. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to write songs that made people feel less alone.
But I told him teacher because it sounded wholesome, because it sounded like the kind of person who becomes a mother. There's a box in my closet. It's been there for decades. I moved it from house to house, apartment to house, house to smaller house. Inside are cassette tapes, ones I recorded in my 20s, my voice, a guitar, songs I wrote in the back of that van or on napkins during shifts. I haven't opened it in 30 years. Don't know it exists. When my oldest daughter was in high school, she joined the choir. She was nervous about it, didn't think she was good enough. I told her to just try, that you don't have to be perfect to do something you love. She looked at me and said, "Did you ever do anything like that?" I said, "No." I said I wasn't musical. She believed me. I think about that moment a lot now. How easy it was to lie. How quickly she moved on. I could have told her. I could have gone upstairs, pulled the box down, played her one of those tapes. I could have said, "I was someone before I was your mother, but I didn't, because I thought it didn't matter anymore. I thought the person I was before them wasn't relevant, that she was a phase, a rough draft. I thought being their mother erased the need to be anyone else. My husband died 4 years ago. The kids came home for the funeral, stayed a few days, helped me sort through his things. They were kind. They checked in on me for a few months after, but then life pulled them back. Jobs, kids, mortgages. I don't resent that. I raised them to build their own lives. But when they left, the house got very quiet. And I started remembering things I hadn't thought about in years. I remembered a night in Portland. I was 24. I played at this tiny bar that smelled like beer and wet wood. Maybe 15 people there. I sang a song I'd written about my father, about how he never said he loved me, but had leave the porch light on when I stayed out late. After I finished, this woman came up to me. She was crying. She said, "That's my father too." We stood there in that dark bar, two strangers, and we understood each other. I felt like I'd done something that mattered. I don't remember the last time I felt that way. Not as a mother. Being a mother mattered. Of course it did, but it was different. When you're a mother, people need you. They depend on you, but they don't see you. Not the parts that aren't useful. Not the parts that don't make dinner or sign permission slips. My daughter, the one who called about the recipe, she's a lawyer. She works long hours. She's tired all the time. Sometimes when we talk, I can hear it in her voice, the weight of it. I want to tell her I understand. I want to tell her that I used to stay up until 2 in the morning, writing lyrics in the margins of grocery lists. That I used to feel like I had something burning inside me that no one else could see. But I don't say it, because I don't think she'd know what to do with that version of me. I'm her mother. I'm supposed to ask if she's eating enough vegetables. Last year, I went through my husband's office. He kept everything. Ticket stubs, old bills, postcards. I found a photo I didn't remember. It was me, 26, maybe 27. I was on stage, holding a guitar, eyes closed. I looked like someone I don't recognize anymore. My husband must have taken it. Early on when we first met, he used to come to my shows, sit in the back, never made a big deal about it. I forgot he did that. I wanted to call my daughter and tell her, look, this was me before you, before any of this, but I didn't, because what would I even say? I used to be someone else and I miss her. I think that's what I've been feeling. Not regret exactly, just loss. The loss of a person. I used to be a person my children never met. They know me as the woman who packed their lunches, who stayed up with them when they had nightmares, who taught them how to tie their shoes and read the clock and say, please, and thank you, and I'm proud of that. But I'm also someone who slept in a van because I couldn't afford rent. Someone who played guitar until my fingers bled. Someone who thought she might actually make something of herself before she became someone's wife, someone's mother, and they don't know her. I don't think I realized how much that would hurt. Not when they were young, when I was busy, when there wasn't time to think about who I used to be. But now, when the house is quiet and the phone only rings once or twice a week, I feel her absence, Meg, the version of me that existed before I became Margaret. I pulled the box down a few months ago, sat on the floor of my closet, and opened it. The tapes were still there. The labels written in my handwriting from 40 years ago. I don't have anything that plays cassettes anymore. But I held them, one by one, and I cried, not because I wished I'd kept playing music, not because I regretted having children, but because I didn't know I was allowed to be both. I didn't know I could be their mother and still be Meg. I thought motherhood meant erasing everything that came before. I thought that's what made you good at it. The sacrifice, the disappearing, and maybe that's what I was taught. Maybe that's what I saw. My own mother never talked about who she was before us. I don't even know if she had dreams, if she wanted something else. She was just, Mom and I became the same. But now I wonder what I lost by doing that, not just for me, but for them. My youngest, my son, he's struggling right now. He's 33. He hates his job, doesn't know what he wants. He called me a few months ago, late at night. He said, "Mom, did you ever feel like you were just going through the motions?" I wanted to tell him yes. I wanted to tell him I spent decades going through the motions because I thought that's what you did. You grow up, you get married, you have kids, you make dinner, you do laundry, you show up, and somewhere in all that showing up, you forget what it felt like to want something just for yourself. But I didn't say that. I told him it would get better, that everyone feels lost sometimes. He thanked me and hung up. I think about that call a lot. I think about how I could have been honest. I could have told him I gave up music because I didn't think I was allowed to keep it. I could have told him I spent years wondering if I made the right choice. Not about having him, never that, but about disappearing so completely. Maybe it would have helped him. Maybe he would have felt less alone. I don't know if my children think of me as a real person. I don't mean that cruelly. I just mean I think they see me as a function, the person who raised them, the person who calls on Sundays, not as someone with a history, with regrets, with a whole life that happened before they existed. And I can't blame them because I never showed them that person. I started writing. Again, not songs, just thoughts. Things I wish I'd said. Things I wish I'd kept. I don't know if anyone will ever read it, but it feels good to remember to say, I was here before all of this. I was someone. Last month, my daughter, the lawyer, she came to visit. She brought her kids. We had dinner after the kids went to bed. We sat in the living room. She was scrolling through her phone. I almost told her. I almost said, I used to write music. I used to perform. I had a whole life you don't know about. But I looked at her, tired, distracted, thinking about the work she had waiting for her at home, and I realized she didn't have space for that version of me, not because she doesn't care, but because that's not who I am to her. I'm the person who makes things easier, not more complicated. I think that's the part that hurts the most. Not that I gave up music, but that I gave up being seen as anything other than their mother. And I did it to myself. If I could go back, I don't know what I'd do differently. I don't know if I could have been both, the mother they needed and the person I was. Maybe it wasn't possible. Maybe the world doesn't make room for that. But I wish I'd tried. I wish I'd kept one song. I played it for them once. Said, "This is who I was before you and she mattered too." I don't think they'd understand it. Now they have their own lives, their own weight. And I'm just the woman who calls to check in, who asks about the grandkids, who sends birthday cards with $20 inside. But sometimes late at night I put on music, old stuff from the 70s, the kind I used to listen to in the van, and I close my eyes, and for a few minutes I'm not up Margaret. I'm Meg again, the girl who thought she could make something beautiful, the girl who didn't know she'd have to choose. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe because I don't have anyone else to tell. Maybe because I'm running out of time to say it out loud. If you're listening to this and you have children, I won't tell you what to do, but I will say this: you can love them completely. You can give them everything and still keep a piece of yourself. You're allowed to be more than their mother. You're allowed to be the person you were before them. I wish someone had told me that. I wish I'd believed it. My name is Margaret. I'm 72 years old, and my children don't know who I was before them. Maybe that's my fault. Maybe it's just what happens. But I was someone, and I miss her. If this found you, if you felt something, you don't have to say anything, but maybe just sit with it for a minute. Maybe think about who you were before everything else. They're still there, even if no one else remembers.